everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is IRENE Veldman and I'm a visual artist based in the Netherlands. Okay, so far I made 2 videos. Probably over the last couple of years I made some more videos, but I put 2 up on YouTube and I'm really enjoying myself. But to take it to the next step, I thought it would be nice to put up a Q&A, like an artist Q&A for you to get to know me better and for me to challenge myself. So I browsed around the internet and I was looking for an artist tag and I came across the Starving Artist tag. I'm not sure who it is by, and although some of the questions will be similar, I wanted to include some other ones as well. So without any further ado, let's hop into the video. How did you decide to become an artist? So I was about 9 years old when I told my mom I wanted to become an artist. She always encouraged me to draw from a very young age on. She can actually draw very well herself, but she doesn't do it as much anymore, unfortunately. You should, Mom. What inspires you to make art? Human beings, because this not only entails the physical part of it, like characteristics or anatomy or like amazing features in the face or the body, whatever. It also entails the history, the philosophy, sociology, and everything that has to do with human beings. And I think everything about human beings is really inspiring. Okay, maybe not everything. What materials do you use? So I paint most of the time and I paint in oils, but I also like to draw. And for drawing I mainly use pencils. I do love charcoal, but not really using it myself. Charcoal has this kind of roughness to it, which is kind of hard for me to handle. So I like it really detailed, and that is why I mainly use pencils. And for my oil paints, there are a couple of brands that I like to use. The first of them is Old Holland, and this is actually my favorite color. I use it for underpainting as well as in the painting itself. I also like to use Winsor & Newton, Rembrandt and Van Gogh, as we say it in Dutch. In English you would probably say Van Gogh. If you would like me to get more into detail with the colors or the palette that I use, I can do a separate video about it. For brushes, I like to use different kinds of brushes. I used to be really into the red sable ones, which look like these. They are really soft and they're amazing for blending. I think they're particularly meant to use in the last couple of layers of your painting. But nowadays I really like to get a bit more structure into my paint. These are from like animal hair, but they're soft, but they're not as soft as red sable. And I also like to use synthetics. So I'm just showing you here a couple of brushes, but I do own a few more. I don't think there is like a specific brand that I use for brushes, but I would love to try Rosemary & Company brushes in the near future. How do you decide when a work is finished? Simple, it never is. There will always be these little details that you think need changing or that needs something more to it, or maybe you decide that the whole canvas needs a touch-up. The thing for me is usually deadlines, because you just have to decide, okay, now I have to leave it because otherwise the paint will still be wet and it will have to go to the gallery and you cannot transport it. Does your work entail a story? At the moment my work tends to be about femininity, but there are some few different stories that go into each painting, I would say. A few years ago I would work with a lot of skulls and dead animals. People will still call me sometimes when they found a dead animal or roadkill or whatever to ask me if I want it, and most of the times I say no because my freezer is already full. And yeah, I think my collection is kind of expanded already. I think overall I am still exploring what my story really is, but I do think that different kind of works do entail different kind of stories. Who are your biggest influences? Well, it started with my mom, as I mentioned before, because she is the reason I got into art, and she was always showing me drawings of, for example, Leonardo da Vinci, so he has to be the second one. I was always, as a kid, really obsessed with his anatomy studies and all his work, basically. Other than that, I think I would again have to divide it into two categories. One is the old masters and the next one is contemporary artists. So for the old masters, I really love the second part of the 19th century and beginning of the 20th century. William Adolphe Bouguereau, Laurens Almans Hadema, Johann Heinrich Füssli, Gustav Klimt, John William Waterhouse, Johannes Vermeer, and Rembrandt, of course. For contemporary artists, I love Brett Kunkel. His mastery with just figures and gold leaf are sublime to me. And then I love the technique of Daniel Sprigg, David Cassan. Shana Levinson is really nice with the lace right now. Nicolas Samori. I saw his work in Venice at the 2011 Biennale, and I was totally amazed by it. It was so good. Then Michael Boremans, because I think there's something poignant about his work, besides the fact that he is an amazing painter. I also love Banksy for his political statements. Does your work comment on current social or political issues? Yes, I do believe so. My work at the moment is really going into femininity. For example, a subtle pose or a fierce glance that comes with some experiences, or the body image that may or may not be projected onto us right now. But also I love to play with like the cliche of being an artist, which is what my works Slow Money are about. What art do you most identify with? Art that has a certain kind of sensitivity to it. Okay, so you can see why I chose visual artists over being a writer, for example. If it's just technique, I would miss the concept or the story that is not involved. And for example, with abstract art, I think it just has to catch you right away. And of course, sometimes an explanation with a conceptual work of art can be nice, but I mean, art is about visual aspects, and it has to catch you with that first visual impression. And I think art has to respond to a certain kind of emotion. Do you have any artistic dream projects? Wow, this is a hard one. There's always like some ideas you have in your head, but you do not want to share it, because if it doesn't come out or you cannot make it, so it feels like kind of a failure, and I don't want to view it that way, but I would love to exhibit in the big museums. Of course, I do have some projects I would love to do in the future, but as of right now, I would like to keep them to myself. Any advice to people who are pursuing a career in art? Okay, so be sure that this is what you want to do, because it is not only a full-time job, as most entrepreneurs have, but it's also really challenging all day, every day. You can leave your studio or your office, but your mind is always with you, and that is where all the creative ideas come from. Make sure that this is what you really love and that you cannot live without, because then you always have something to fall back on in desperate times. This desire to create, whether you have a 3-figure amount or a 6-figure amount in your bank account. Okay, so if you are an artist and you would like to do this tag, please do. I would like to invite and tag all of you artists out there to answer this Q&A. Okay guys, so this wraps up this Q&A video. I hope you really liked it. If you did, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel to see what I put up next. I'm not sure yet, but you know, if you want to stick to my progress, that would be really great. And hopefully I will see you in my next video.